In this video, we're going to take a look at AutoCAD interface and get started with one of the assignments. As we work on more assignments, we'll introduce new tools within the software. So when you get started at this screen, you can pick New right here to open up a new blank file. And so at the top, you can see that it's called drawing1.dwg. So one of the first things you should do is save the file. Check with your instructor to see what kind of format to use to save the file and where to put it. For now, I'm going to save it as assignment 1, and we'll explore the interface and then get started with drafting our first assignment. So at the very top of the screen at the left side, you'll see a big red A. If you click on that, you'll see that all of these icons kind of match the icons that are in the quick access toolbar right there at the top. So once you get familiar with these quick icons, you won't need to use the drop down here. But what we want to do is save the file because we already created it as a new one. We can go to save, not save as. Save as is if you wanted to save it as a different name, and we might do this later on, but right now we're just going to click on save. So navigate to the folder that your instructor uses for you to save your files, and you can do that here. And then under file name, I'm going to call this assignment 1. Your instructor may have a different format for the way that the file name should be saved. So for now, let's go ahead and pick save. And now at the top, you should see that it has this long path and then called assignment 1. So as you're looking around at the interface, you'll see at the top you have all of these tabs. Each one of these tabs gives you more commands, but we'll be working with mostly the Home tab. Within the Home tab, you have panels. Each panel has a name like Draw, Modify, Annotation, Layers. We'll be using several of these as well. And within those panels, you have these icons. So for instance, under the Modify panel, you have Move, Rotate, Trim. And if you just rest your pointer on one of those icons, you can kind of see what that tool does. Sometimes there's even a little video that starts that shows you how that tool works. It will also give you the option of pressing F1 to get more help with that command if you need it. So we'll be picking up quite a few of these commands as we work on assignments. We are in the top view, so we're going to make sure when you look in the interface that this says top at the top left and also 2D wireframe for now. We'll get into the 3D later in the semester. And over here, we're going to stay in the top view, so please avoid using those until we start to work with the 3D. Also, at the bottom left, we're going to stay in the Model tab. The layouts are used to create your sheets as an option. So if you click on Layout 1, you'll see that it's a piece of paper with a margin and kind of a hole to look at the model. So that if this happens, then you want to make sure that you click on the Model tab there at the bottom left to make sure you're in this space that we're working with. At the bottom right, we'll have several tools that we can use, and the ones that are blue are going to be on by default, and the ones that are not blue, like gray, are the ones that are not on, and we'll be working with several of those as well. You can see, for example, that very first icon, not the model, because we're in the model, but that very first icon that says Display Drawing Grid, if you click on it, the grid is turned off, and if you click on it again, the icon will be blue, and the grid comes back into your drawing. Okay, so getting started, you can click on with your left mouse button or with your laptop pad this line icon right there. Now, other options would be to type in the word line or to type in L for line. That's kind of a quick way to access that command. When you do, stop and take a look at the bottom here. This is your command line. This is your dialogue with AutoCAD, and very important to watch down there because it says line specify first point. So you just go ahead and click a point anywhere in space. And then you see when you pull your mouse away from that point, it looks like you're drawing the line, but It's kind of like a rubber band. You see how it looks like a rubber band? So if you pull your mouse away from that point and click again for the next point, now you've actually drawn the line. And if you look at your command line, it says specify next point. It also says or undo. So let's say you didn't want to draw that line. You can either type in U right there for undo, or you can click right on the word undo. You see it will undo the last line segment that you just drew. So you're clicking several points, creating something random. And notice that in your command line, going back to always watching that, it says or close, close or undo. And I think that when you start to learn how to read this dialogue with AutoCAD, you'll get better with AutoCAD and understanding what it's asking you. So if you clicked on undo, or you can type in U, which is that blue letter right there, you'll undo one line segment at a time. But if you click on close, go ahead and try that. It will close back to the first point that you picked and end the command. So your command line is at rest now. It says type a command. Now, if you press your escape key, which is at the top left of your keyboard, ESC, you can see that it cancels out. It cancels out of any command. So if you are in a command and you didn't want to be in that command, you can cancel that command out. Now, we'll be using all of these tools several times. So we're just introducing them now, and then you'll get more experience as we move forward. If you want to erase a line, you can click right on it, and then you'll have these blue grips. That means that you have that line selected. Once you do that, you can either click the erase icon right there, or you can click on delete button on the keyboard, or you can right click, picking the right mouse button, you'll get a menu and you can pick erase. Now, if you wanted to undo that erase, you can either type in U for undo, or you can go up to the top left corner. You'll see an arrow curving to the left. That's undo. See how it shows you undo or U to undo? All right, one thing that happens a lot is students will hold their left mouse button down in space and drag their mouse here to the left and get this green kind of awkward shape, or they'll hold their left mouse button down in space and go to the right and get this blue kind of polyline. And what that's doing is selecting the objects. You see all of them are blue now, and use your escape key to get rid of those. Now, if you click and let go, instead of holding your left mouse button down, if you click and let go in space and pull your mouse to the left, the box is green and you're selecting objects that are inside and crossing over the box. If you click and let go and pull your mouse this way, only the objects completely inside the box will be selected. Now, the only reason I'm telling you these things is that you could accidentally go to select one of these lines to erase it or to work with it and then miss it. And what happens is students start to get this and wonder what's going on. Use your escape key to get out of that. Okay, so we're going to get started with this assignment. There are just a couple more things I wanted to show you as we get the assignment set up. One is to use the wheel of your mouse. I would highly recommend that you get a wheel, a mouse with a wheel in the middle, the left, right button with the wheel, or whatever type of mouse that you would like to access that, so that we can use these zoom commands. But I'll show you what to use as backup. So if you put your pointer in the screen here and roll the wheel towards you, you see how you're zooming back, and then roll the wheel towards the computer and you're zooming forward. So you can use the wheel of your mouse to zoom forward and backwards. Here, you can also hold the wheel down. Now, we're not talking about the left or right mouse button. We're talking about holding that wheel of the mouse down. And you've got that little hand there and you're panning. You're changing the view. You're not moving the objects. You're only moving the view. You're moving the view like you're looking in a camera, right? Now, if you double click on the wheel, like a quick double click, then you'll do what's called a zoom extents, and you'll be able to see all of the objects that are visible and on. So I'm adding this part to show you that if you have a laptop without a mouse, you can use over in the far right side here, the navigation wheel. It's a full navigation wheel right here. You can click on that, and when you pull your mouse out, you'll see that it has on it zoom and pan. And those are the two things, not orbit. Orbit will bring you into a 3D view, which you don't want because you want to make sure you're in the top view. And rewind is pretty good because it will undo just your previous views. But what I'd like you to, I'd like you to use the mouse wheel. But if you have a laptop, you can use your laptop, pad and button to click and hold on zoom to zoom up and down, and click on and hold on pan to pan around. Those are the things. I can go ahead and click on this little X here to get rid of that. Another thing that some people do is you can type in Z and enter the letter Z, or the letter Z and spacebar, and that types in the word zoom. And then you see all those other options down there. We always have these other options, and the blue capital letters are what you type in. So if you type in E for extents and enter, it's just like double clicking on the wheel of the mouse. So you type in Z and spacebar or enter, and then E and spacebar or enter, and then that would be the same as double clicking on the wheel of the mouse. And that would be if you don't have a mouse and you're working on your laptop. I do that, and I have to use that often. Okay, so I roll my wheel back and I see this little XY over here. You might wonder what that is. We're going to leave that there. That shows us where the 0, 0 point is in the coordinate system that we're working on in this grid, and we'll introduce that later in the semester. Okay, so to get started, let's erase these lines. Whatever you have, you can select them one at a time, or what I like to do is click in space, pull my mouse across, and click, select all of those objects, and then you can right click and pick erase, or you can, like I said, pick erase icon or delete on the keyboard. Any of these work. Good. All right, so when we go through these assignments, each one of these assignments, you're going to be learning a little bit more. So I set up this assignment for assignment 1. We're going to do this one together. In assignment 2, you'll do that on your own with what we learned in assignment 1. So when you look at these drawings, you might be new. So like I said, this is the very first video showing you that these dimension lines will let you know how long these lines on the objects are. So the object itself is the dark line, like this. Let me just show you here. I think I can, draw on this. So the object itself is this right here, and the circles as well. So we're going to create a layer. I'll show you how to do that to make these darker. That's the object. So these are the dimensions showing you how long it is from this corner to this corner. So follow these extension lines up to the arrow. It's 3.5 for this line right here. And it's 1. And so this 1 inch is between the line and the center of the circle. And here it is between this top line and the center of the circle. Okay, so the whole thing is 4 inches from the top to the bottom. If you watch the extension lines here coming out, look for the arrows, you'll find that it's from the top to the bottom, it's 4. And I put way more dimensions on these assignments so that you can get a feel for learning how to use dimensions without too many missing dimensions. All right, moving forward here, we're going to start with assignment 1. All right, so we're going to create layers so that we can set up our different layers to be different thicknesses. Like the object layer will be darker, the one I have in red, and the dimension layer will be lighter. And some people will create another layer for the text. It just depends on the company, because each company seems to have their own layers, although some corporations like the American Institute of Architects and other established manufacturers have tried to create standards for the industry, but for the most part, most companies have their own layer standards. So check with them to make sure, if you did work with them, what their layers are, do a job with them. So now we're going to click on layer properties. You see under the layer panel right there. And you will do this several times, like I said, throughout the semester. So it's going to become more familiar to you we're going to look for this new layer icon right there. Click on new layer icon and type in objects. That's our first layer. You can press enter twice and type in dim text. I like to combine the dimensions and the text into one. And those are the only two layers. We're starting with something simple. We have objects and we have the dimensions and text on another layer. Now you could have clicked on new layer to create another layer. And if you have extra layers here, you can always delete them with this icon here with the red X, delete a layer. You won't be able to delete layers that have objects on them, just so you know. So for the first few assignments, we're going to keep all of these tools here yellow. This is going to be for turning on and off, or freezing layers, or locking layers, or whether you want it to be plotted or not. We're going to keep those all defaults and jump over to changing the color. So we're going to change the color of the dim text layer to something else, something brighter. It doesn't matter what color it is. Right now, we don't have a standard in place. As long as you're on a black background, a lot of companies will use this color right here, yellow or green. This strip of colors shows you color 1, 2, 3, 4, but there are 256, I believe, colors, or 55. So you can come over and make that whatever color you'd like, as long as the object layer and the dim text layer are different colors. I'm just going to keep the object layer as white. And we are going to leave the line type as continuous. Like I said, as we start to work with more assignments, we'll come in here and learn more. Now, right now, when we start to draw, the objects will be placed on the 0 layer. And that's a default layer that comes with AutoCAD. And another layer we're going to talk about later, we want to stay away from that layer until we can understand it. There is a green check mark right there, making it current. So what we want is we want the object layer to be the top layer. We can double click right there on the little sheet of paper next to the word objects. And you see how the green check mark goes there? You could also pick this icon here that has the green check mark that says set current. Setting it current means that the next object that I draw will be placed on that layer, the object layer. Okay, so we just created 2 new layers and we changed the color. We can go ahead and close out of this layer properties manager palette by clicking the X right there at the top left, right there. And you can click right here on this drop down in the layers panel to see that you've created several layers and we're on the object layer. If something else was there, you could drop this list down and click right on the word objects to make it current. Okay, so when we draw, we have choices in being able to draw a straight line. One choice, and the choice we'll start with, is the default polar tracking. So test this out with me. If you start the line command and you click a point anywhere, pull your mouse to the right and don't click. Just type in 3.5 and enter. And then just enter again. We just drew a line that's 3.5. Now, how do we know that it's 3.5? We'll do this again as we start to draw the assignment. We can double click on that line and see in this dialog box that it says length 3.5. Okay, let's do that again. Start the line command by clicking the line icon right there. Click a point up here in space. We're just practicing. Pull your mouse straight to the right. Make sure that it has that green tracking vector. Your mouse isn't moving all over the place. And you don't click. You just type in 3.5 and enter. Now, let's say I want to go down 2.5. I'm going to pull my mouse straight down. Don't click. Type in 2.5 and enter. See, so we could walk around the whole assignment this way by using what's called direct distance entry. You pull your mouse in the direction you want to draw in, and you type in the distance. Now, if my mouse was way up here, and it was, my mouse was pulling me in different directions, and I typed in whatever 4 and enter, and I didn't want it to go in that direction. Remember, we can either click on the word undo in the command line right there, or you can type in U for undo. It brings you back one line segment instead of undoing the whole thing. All right, let's start. Use your escape key to get rid of any commands that are ongoing. let's go ahead and click in space and pull your mouse across any lines that you've drawn and then erase those. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top left. We're going to go over 3.5, down this 2.5, over 1.5, which if you watch these extension lines, that little line right there is 1.5, and then over 2, and then C for close. Although we could do 4 back to this point. C for close will bring you back to the first point that you picked. All right, so let's do it. Start with the line command, click a point, pull your mouse to the right, type in 3.5 and enter. You're not clicking at all. You're just pulling your mouse down, straight down, and type in 2.5 and enter. And you could even roll your mouse up without clicking to get closer. Right in the middle of this, you can start to use view commands. Now we're ready to pull your mouse straight to the left, type in 1.5 and enter, and straight down 1.5 and enter, and then to the left 2 and enter. You don't have to type in 2.00. And then here, we're going to either type in C for close. You can pick close in the command line, or you can right click and pick close. Either way, your option. As you get more comfortable with this, you'll decide on which way is better for you. So now when you roll your wheel, you can see that you have it. Now we double clicked on this line to check to make sure it's 3.5. But another way is to use here under the utilities panel, you can see it says measure. You can click on the little arrow under measure and go to either distance or quick. Let's try quick because quick is really cool. Let's go under measure and click on quick. It has a little ruler there. And look what happens when you go inside your drawing. It shows you the different angles and the distance from one line to another. If you come down here, it'll show you all of this information. That's like the quick way of finding out things on your drawing. Another way is to go back to the little arrow under measure and go to distance, kind of like this one. If you click on distance, you can click 2 points and AutoCAD will show you the distance between those 2 points. So I can click here at the top left, and I don't even have to click. I just rest my pointer there and I see the 3.5, or I pull my mouse down here and just rest my pointer for the 4.0. All right, so if I did click, it would show me in the command line the distance between the two and the angle. All right, I'm going to use my escape key to get out of that and come back to set up these circles. Now, most of these videos will be less than an hour. Okay, looking at these circles, we know that the center of the circle is 1 from the left line and 1 inch from the top line. So we're going to use a new command. And like I said, as I introduce, we're going to introduce a lot of different commands as we go and as we practice. You're going to find the command called offset. It's in the modify panel and it's the bottom right corner right there. It's offset. I mean, like I said, you could type in the whole word and I'll show you where the quick keys are in a little bit later. So click on offset. Now stop. Look at your bottom line there, the command line. It's not asking you to click on anything, right? It says offset, specify offset distance. That means we have to type in 1 and enter. So start the offset command, type in 1 and enter. Now it says select object to offset. Well, the object is going to be this top line. So I'm going to click on that object to offset. Now look what happens when I pull my mouse up. I get a line that's 1 inch from that line. If I pull my mouse down, it goes 1 inch down away from it. So what it's asking is specify point. On the side, you want to offset. Well, we want to offset down. So pull your mouse down and then click. Now, since we still have the very same offset, we don't have to change it. We can keep going. You see, it still keeps it in the command. So we can now click on the line here on the right. And you see, I could go left or right. I'm going to pull my mouse over here to the left and click. Now I have those 2 lines that I offset 1 inch, one from the top line and one from the bottom line. I'm going to go ahead and right click and pick enter or escape out of that. We'll do 1 circle at a time. Okay. So those are kind of like construction lines. And now when you see 2x, this is a standard on drawings that 2x means that in two places, these two circles, you're going to have a diameter of 1. So just to remind you here, or in case you didn't know, the symbol that is a circle with a line through it like that is diameter. And the diameter is the circle from the outside here to the outside, and that is 1. So let's go back to the drawing. What we have here, under draw now, because we're not modifying it, you can click on the little arrow underneath circle. And if you go to diameter and you just rest your pointer there and give it a minute, you see how it's showing you before you click on it, circle center diameter, that the diameter is the distance from the far left or outside of the circle to the other outside of the circle, the full diameter. So I'll just go ahead and click on circle and then center diameter. And by default, we already have this intersection object snap. That means it's going to snap right to the intersection of those two lines. I'm going to go ahead and click because the command line says specify center point for circle. I'm going to click there. And when you pull your mouse out, you see it's asking us for the diameter. So we'll type in 1 and enter. There's our first circle. Now going back to that intersection, those object snaps, let's take a quick look at those. At the bottom right corner, make sure that it's still on, but there's a blue icon right there with a box in it and another little box. That's object snaps. Click on the arrow to the right of it, and you'll see all of the object snaps. Now, I have way more on than you do because once you put them on, they will stay on. And I believe it's something like that as a default. So the one we want to make sure that we have would be the endpoints, the centers, and the intersections. I like to put intersections and extensions. So you can check and uncheck those to get those object snaps. We're going to be introducing these more and more as we continue to draw our assignments. So when we clicked on the intersection of those two lines, it was because we had this checked right here that we could see that object snap to those geometric positions on an object. Okay, getting back to the drawing, we can select these two lines here that we used for drafting, like a grid, and erase them. Great, there's our first circle. So the second circle is 1 from the left, which we could have done in that first section, and 2 from the bottom. So the offset command is something that we use often. We'll get used to that. So up here, we're going to find the offset command. It's right in the modify panel. Click on offset. It's the bottom right icon in the modify panel there. We're still in the home tab. Remember, when you start the offset command, it says specify offset distance. So just for the practice of it, type in 2 and enter. Select the line at the bottom, the very bottom, that short line at the bottom. Pull your mouse up and click. See the dimensions. This right here, this extension line goes from the bottom line to the center of the circle. So it's 2 inches from the bottom line to the center of the circle. Now, just for the practice of it, let's go back to offset. I know that it keeps me in the command, but we're going to go back and start the offset command again. Type in 1 and enter. Select the left longer line and then click to the right. You see how that gives us our two lines? Now, most of the time when you start a new command, it cancels out the one before. It's probably a good idea to escape out of these or right click and pick close or enter as we get to the end of these commands. So we have our extension, our grid lines. Now let's go up to circle center diameter. Circle center diameter, click the intersection of those two lines right there. It already remembers that our diameter was 1, so you can see it in the brackets. Whenever something's in the brackets right there, you see how it automatically typed in D for diameter and then 1 in brackets, you can press enter. And that's our other circle. Let's go ahead and erase these two lines right here. Great. Okay, so that's our drawing. And those are the objects that are going to be a little bit bolder when we print. So now we're ready to place a dimension. I want to show you what happens if we forget to change the layer. So technically, we're supposed to drop this list down and click on dim text so that the dimension will go on that layer. But I just want to quickly show you how to move very quickly something onto the right layer. So let's place our first dimension. Under annotation, I know that everybody wants to use this big dimension, and it is a choice, but I'd like for us to concentrate on this smaller icon right here called linear so that we can start using the dimensions that are within this dropdown. So let's go ahead and click on linear. This is what we'll be able to use for our vertical and horizontal dimensions. Click on linear. Now we're clicking 3 points. It says in your command line, specify first extension line. I'm going to click on the top left of this drawing and the top right, which is the second extension line, origin. Pull your mouse straight up, far enough that we can get that one in there, and click. That's the 3 points that we're clicking for our dimension. The 2 extension line corners, and then where we want to place the number. And you see how fast that is. AutoCAD already sets up a lot of the defaults for us. So first thing we want to do is just click on that dimension once to highlight it. Go up to the layer dropdown and click right on the word dim text. That's the first thing. Look at that. Use your escape key to get the grips off, and you'll see that it was moved to the right layer. So I'm adding this part to show you that if you want to know what layer an object's on, you can just click on it. So if you click on it once, it will show you up here in the drop down what layer it's on. That's one of the many ways. But let's just say you use your escape key and you click on this one. See, it will show you what layer that is on. That's kind of a quick way to see what layer an object is on. Now that we're going to place more dimensions, we have to set the layer current. So drop this list down, click on dim text, and now the dim text layer is current. Now what you'll also notice is a new layer was created by AutoCAD. It's called def points. It's actually something that we just want to leave alone because the definition points of this dimension are 2 little dots that are underneath the object at these corners, and they won't plot. So that's why they're on their own layer. So we're going to stay away from the layer 0, and we're going to stay away from the layer def points. Those 2 are automatically there from placing a dimension and part of the AutoCAD system. And we'll talk about those layer 0 in another module. All right, so now the dim text layer is current, and look, we have to change our precision. Right now, it's a bunch of zeros, right? But we want just 2. So let's everybody type in the letter D and enter. Just D and enter. We'll come back to this, but this is the Dimension Style Manager. We're going to use the standard, so we'll pick Modify, and then go to the Primary Units tab right there. And the only thing we're doing here is we are changing our precision right there at the top left for our linear dimensions to 0.00, 0.00. And then pick OK and close, and you'll see it update automatically. So as we work with the Dimension Style Manager, it holds all the settings of the dimension. Now we're ready to continue dimensioning. We'll go to linear, and we're clicking here at the top left corner and the center of the circle. Pull your mouse up and click. You can even right click to repeat a command, any of these commands. So you want to be careful if you right click and repeat and undo, right? So right click and repeat dim linear. As long as you started it, we're going to click on the top corner and the center of the circle. Now this is where you have to be careful here because you see how it kind of locks you into horizontal until you move your mouse over in between the extension lines, and then it kind of, as you move your mouse around, you'll be able to get to a vertical dimension right there. Right click, dim linear, we've got one. Now make sure you're clicking on the object. You're not clicking on the dimensions. You're clicking on the white part of the object. There's one there. Right click, dim linear. Now this is another thing to be careful of. We want to try to avoid having the dimension line on top of the object. So you want to click on the corner right here. But let's say you forgot and you click on this corner. I'm going to click here and here. Now you want to line it up. Don't try and just like eyeball it. You want to come over to the existing arrow and click so you know that it's right on. But you see how it drew it over the top of the object? This is a great place to use your grips. You can click on the dimension, click inside this blue box. Just click and let go. Pull your mouse over to where you want to put it and click. You see how it kind of like stretched it over there? It's not holding your left mouse button down. It's clicking and letting go and pulling your mouse over. You see how the number is changing? I pulled that over there so I can show you that little definition point right there. When you take it away from your object, you can see it. So you click on it, you click on the blue little grip and pull it back where you need it. Use your escape key to get rid of that. I believe I can still right click, yep, and come back here to pick up my 4 right there. And so go ahead and let's get all these. I'm going to go ahead and do this with you right here. And the left and the center, bring it down here. We've got this other one. We can click here and here for the 2, and then here and here in these 2 corners. Now, like I said, don't just try to eyeball it here. Bring your pointer over to the existing arrow and click so that it's completely lined up. And there it is. We have one more text, like one more dimension right here, and we've got the text for our title. So let's do it. Underneath linear, we have diameter. This is placing that diameter dimension. So under linear, click on dimension, and then click on this circle right here on the white part of the outside of the circle. Pull your mouse over just a little bit and click. And there it is. It's diameter 1.0. But we need to add the 2x. To add text, you can double click on the text. When you double click on the diameter 1, you see that blinking cursor there at the left? You can then type in 2, and then I think we need to shift this x space, 2x space, and then click in space, and there it is. You can use your escape key to get out of that. So what did we do? We used underneath linear, we used diameter, and we clicked on the circle, and we clicked where we wanted the text. Then we double clicked on the text, and we added 2x space. Escape out of that and click in space. Notice it makes that icon the top one. So the next time that you use linear, you have to come back over here and go under this and pick linear, because it will leave the last icon that you used up and showing. All right, what did we miss? We missed, there are center marks there, but I think this is a really good start. There's a whole conversation with that, and the video is getting a little bit longer, but I think it would be a good introduction. Yeah, sure, why not? It's a good introduction. Let's put our center mark since it is showing on here. There's a center mark that comes with the dimension, but there's another center mark. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the center mark for this dimension. You see how this dimension has a little center mark there? It's that little plus sign right there. We don't want that. So let's do this together. Type in D and enter. Just the letter D anywhere and enter. Pick the modify button. Go to the symbols and arrows tab. And where it says center marks on the far left side, click in front of none. None, and then pick OK and close. You see how that little center mark disappears? Now let's put the actual center marks that AutoCAD has added for us. They are underneath annotation, up at the top, annotate. So we're in the home tab. We're going to go over to annotate. The whole ribbon changes, but what we're looking for is this command right here, center mark. Go ahead and click on that, and then click on this circle and click on this circle. And now we have our center marks on our circles. That's our drawing, guys. We're going to now put a title and print it as a PDF. So let's go back to the home tab. I like to work out of the home tab. This is an introduction, so it's a little bit of everything, but we're going to continue to practice and use these commands often. All right, so let's put our text. Underneath the annotation tab, now we're in the home tab, but underneath the annotation panel, not tab, panel, we're going to look for the A and text and click on that little arrow underneath the text. I just want to show you that this is multi-line text. It's like a paragraph of text and not a single line. When we draw this, we're going to draw like a box that all the text is going to go in. So when we click on multi-line text, you can see the ABC there. See that? I'm going to click a point where I want the text to start, and then pull your mouse down and to the right, and then click. Now we're using the default height, but with your cap locks on, you can type in assignment 1 and then enter, and then put your name, student name, but you put your name. Don't put my name, don't put your instructor's name, put your name there. And then hold your left mouse button down just to the right of assignment 1 so that you can highlight the whole word assignment 1. And up at the top left, look for the icon for underline. Click on underline, and now you have assignment 1 that's underlined, and you have your name. You can click in space right there. You can also double click on the text, and it will bring you back into the text editor to continue to type whatever you needed to fix in this text. So most of the time, if you double click on something, it will bring you into the edit mode. Now, if you wanted to move it around, you could click on it once, and then one option is to click inside this little blue grip right there and kind of drag it around to where you want it. But you see how it's kind of awkward. It kind of wants to pick up object snaps and everything. And personally, I like to select your text or whatever the objects are and hold your left mouse button down on the text and drag your mouse over here and drag and drop wherever you want it to be placed. Good job, guys. Good job. So now let's save it. So one way to save it is to come up here and click on this little floppy disk icon. You don't have to do save as, just do save right there. Or you can go here and pick save. What that actually does, the first time that you pick save, you're creating a backup file. So you'll have a DWG, which is the drawing file. That's what you're going to submit online. Check with your instructor on what the file name should be. And then now that we saved it, there's the BAK backup file. The video is getting a little long, so I'll move forward. We're going to print this as a PDF file so that you can use it later on for your portfolio and have it as like a hard copy, right? So up here, let's look for the printer. You can either use this plot icon right there, or you can go to the big red A and down to print and over to plot. Either way, I like to just jump up here to the top left and click on this little plotter icon right there. Okay, so we're going to use this several times, but this is an introduction to it. Every video, every assignment, we're going to do this. So where it says printer plotter name, change that. Where it says none, change where it says printer plotter name, the second one down, to AutoCAD PDF high quality print. This one, BC3. We'll keep the paper at 8.5, 11, but we're going to change the display. You see where it says plot area what to display? We want to drop that list down and click window. It should throw you into the drawing. And so what we're doing is we're clicking a point and letting go and pulling your mouse down so that you have kind of equal space around your object. You're creating the paper. Now we want to put a check mark here in center of the plot, which is at the bottom left corner. We're going to use the plot scale fit to paper. It's going to fit to the box that you just created under window. And then we want to, at the top right, we want to make sure that we're printing with the pen assignments or plot style table monochrome CTB right there. And it's going to ask you if you want to assign it to all these other layouts down here. Just pick yes for now. Important, we want to pick apply to layout. When we pick apply to layout, all that we just did is going to save to this file. And now we always want to pick preview at the bottom left. It should show you what your drawing looks like. And oh, good point. I did not change the line weight of the objects. You see how this is lighter? We don't want that. We're going to go back and do that now. Usually we'll pick that up when we're creating layers, but this is a good thing because you can see that if you don't see it, if you roll your wheel and you don't see line weight difference, you know you didn't set it up. So now use your escape key to cancel out of this. Don't print it, but it's saved, right? Go back to layers. We're going to go back to layer properties. This is perfect. You know that you can do this. For the object layer, highlight the object layer, and over here where it says line weight, we want to click on the word default right there for the object layer under the line weight column. Pull your scroll down to 0.60 millimeters, nice and bold. 0.60 and pick OK. So now you see how that layer and everything on it is going to be 0.60. You don't even have to set that current. Just close out of that, right? Go back to the plot icon It's already all set up, but click on preview. Look at the difference, right? That's what we should have. Now we're ready. We can right click and pick plot, or you can click the plotter icon up there. You will end up with an opportunity to save this file as assignment 1 model PDF. Check with your instructor to make sure that that is the course requirement for the name of the file. Let's go ahead and pick save. And there's your PDF. Now you have a DWG, that's a drawing file, and a PDF that you'll submit. Because eventually the PDFs can be used for your portfolio as you start to interview. You'll see that it's got that nice bold line weight and it looks good. All right, please keep in touch with your instructor if you need any help. We do have open lab time as well, so check with the times that were available to help you then as well.